Calaroga Shark Media.
Hey there, I'm Johnny Mac with 5 good news stories. Good news for Charlie the cow. It was kind of close. Charlie is a young black and white cow with fluffy ears. He was raised through a local 4-H program in Florida. Charlie had a good life by livestock standards. He was raised by hand, trained to be gentle, brushed and groomed for competition, but at a recent weigh-in, Charlie came in too skinny to continue with the program. And in the livestock world, that typically means one thing. Yeah, you know. However, Leslie is a committed animal lover. She came across Charlie's situation on social media in early March and started to do something about it. She needed at least $5,500 to buy him out of the livestock trade and transport Charlie to a sanctuary called Bell Family Farm in Polk City. She named him Charlie after the 2004 hurricane because, as she put it, he was facing the biggest storm of his life. She launched a GoFundMe, went hard on social media. And then, this is the best part, she booked the cow some media appearances. Charlie showed up on local TV stations and a morning radio show. He became a local celebrity. By the end of March, she still didn't have enough money, so she paid the difference out of pocket herself just to keep Charlie safe while she kept fundraising. By late April, a woman named Sarah donated her truck trailer in her own time to transport Charlie to the Bell Family Farm. The Bells told local news, Charlie's story is remarkable. He managed to cross paths with all the right humans in our incredible community who would recognize his unique worth. Charlie has an expected lifespan of another 15 to 20 years. The GoFundMe is still open if you want to contribute. This next story is probably one of the best that I feel like we've done on this program. AI is detecting pancreatic cancer years before diagnosis. I don't know if you know pancreatic cancer. That one is nasty and quick. Researchers at the Mayo Clinic have developed an AI model that can detect early signs of pancreatic cancer on CT scans up to 3 years before a patient would typically be diagnosed. That is amazing. Pancreatic cancer has a 5-year survival rate of just 13%. Around 80% of patients aren't diagnosed until the disease has reached an advanced stage. There's no routine screening for it. The typical symptoms, stomach pain, sudden weight loss, usually don't show up until the cancer has already spread to other organs. The Mayo Clinic team built their AI model by feeding it CT scans from patients who had originally been screened for other conditions and were later diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. The result, the AI model was 3 times better than human radiologists at identifying the early warning signs. This is fantastic. In Australia, a group of high school girls were out hiking. They were 4 days into the Duke of Edinburgh Award hike through Warrumbungle National Park. What a great name. They came across a man named Thomas. Thomas had slipped on the trail and broken his leg. He'd been struggling for a while. A couple nurses had passed by, wrapped a bandage on it, but then he fell again. He and his friend had no idea what to do next. Then the girls showed up. Now, the Duke of Edinburgh Award is an international program for young people built around outdoor skills, physical challenges, and volunteer service. These students had trained for exactly this kind of scenario. Boy, that's lucky. Outdoor educators Amanda and Marty pointed out that the group had practiced this same rescue situation a few years earlier during an earlier hike. Marty said, when I called out to the girls and told them our plan was to help this gentleman, they were so excited. There were a lot of comments like, wow, we've trained for this. All right, what did they do? They built a stretcher on the spot. They used tarp poles and a hammock. Stephanie said, we placed my hammock over the top, then he laid down on that, and we all positioned ourselves on the outside, would count 3 seconds and lift them up together, then would walk for 60 seconds, then rest for 15 seconds and rotate. They kept that up for 2 hours. Wow. Stephanie said, the paths just seemed to get longer and longer. You don't realize how far 3.5 kilometers is until you're shuffling along carrying someone. Thomas said he'll never forget it. It absolutely means the world that they were able to offer the assistance they did. I'm forever grateful for them. All right, we have a new world record, and this one was a 5-year-old's idea. Joe and Christelle took their son Axel to attempt a Guinness World Record. Most stairs descended by a Slinky. Joe, the dad, said our son Axel's at the age where everything needs to be the biggest, fastest, or most extreme version of itself. He recently discovered Slinkies and knew I had attempted a record before, so naturally he wanted to know the record for most stairs descended by a Slinky when we looked it up. And so the existing record was 30 stairs. It seemed beatable. Yeah, that seems really beatable. The family selected a 6-inch rainbow Slinky for the attempt. I had that one. That's the plastic one. I like that one. They set it down 53 stairs, nearly double the previous record. I feel like that's like I feel like I could go to like a baseball stadium and do like 300 stairs. Am I delusional? I probably am. And again, I'd rather the 5-year-old have the record than me. And good news for Greg the Frog. You see, a man came home with a bag of lettuce. Have you figured this out yet? The man opened the bag of lettuce, and in the lettuce was a frog. Luckily, a live frog. His roommate Laura said, he's the most casual guy ever. He's like, bro, I got a lettuce. There's like a frog in my lettuce. Greg the Frog was released into a local dam along with the lettuce. The food market issued a statement calling this an isolated incident, and the situation's totally under investigation. I hope Greg the Frog is having a nice day. And those are your 5 good news stories for today. Have a good one.